Your lunch can vanish from memory before the afternoon even begins. You finish eating, and hours later, you cannot remember what was there. You know you had lunch, but somehow the entire meal feels strangely blank. For many men, this tiny moment creates a surprisingly uncomfortable thought. How can your brain lose something that happened only a few hours ago? You might wonder if your memory is slowly becoming weaker with age. But forgetting lunch may have almost nothing to do with weak memory. Psychology reveals that another mental process begins much earlier. Your brain decides what deserves attention before memory can even begin. And what really happened during lunch may completely surprise you. Your brain cannot remember every detail because most daily moments are simply not important. Before memory begins, your attention decides which experiences deserve stronger mental storage. Psychologists call this selective encoding because attention controls what enters memory first. An ordinary lunch often looks too familiar for your brain to treat it as something important. The same table and similar food can make the entire experience feel completely predictable. Predictable moments demand less attention because they offer your brain very little new input. Without enough attention, the details of your lunch may never form a strong memory at all. This explains why you can remember a special dinner while yesterday's lunch disappears fast. The difference is often not the food, but the meaning your brain attached to that experience. Emotion and novelty naturally tell your brain that a particular moment deserves more attention. A routine lunch rarely sends the same signal because your brain already knows what to expect. So when someone asks what you ate, your mind may search for details that were barely recorded. The strange feeling of forgetting may actually begin before you ever try to remember the meal. Your memory may be working normally while your attention was focused somewhere else entirely. And that raises deeper question about where your mind really goes while your body is eating. Your body may be eating lunch while your mind is already living somewhere else entirely. A meeting from the morning can keep replaying while your hands continue eating automatically. You might be planning the afternoon before you have even noticed the first few bites of lunch. Psychologists call this attentional capture because important thoughts can steal your awareness. Your brain naturally follows whatever feels more urgent than the ordinary moment around you. Deadlines and problems can easily become louder than the taste of the food sitting before you. Working memory has limited space, so every thought must compete for your mental attention. A single unfinished problem can occupy more awareness than everything happening during lunch. Your hands keep moving because familiar actions can continue without your full mental focus. This creates the strange experience of finishing a meal you barely remember actually eating. The food was physically present, but your attention was following thoughts somewhere else. Memory follows attention, so details outside your focus have a weaker chance of being stored. This is why distraction can make an entire lunch seem to disappear only a few hours later. But distraction alone cannot explain why some men experience these moments far more often. The deeper explanation begins with the invisible mental weight they carry throughout the day. Some men sit down for lunch while their minds are still carrying the entire morning with them. Work and money and family responsibilities can quietly compete for every moment of attention. Even a peaceful lunch can become another planning session when the mind refuses to slow down. Psychologists call this cognitive load, and it can quietly consume your working memory all day. The heavier this mental load becomes, the less attention remains for simple everyday moments. Your body may stop for lunch while your brain continues solving problems from somewhere else. Unfinished tasks stay mentally active because your brain still believes they require action. A difficult conversation can replay while the food in front of you becomes background noise. Future responsibilities can also pull your awareness away from what is happening right now. The meal continues normally, even though your attention barely notices the experience itself. Without enough attention, those ordinary details have little chance of becoming strong memories. This is why forgotten lunches may appear more often during the busiest periods of your life. The missing memory can reveal where your mental energy was being spent while you were eating. Sometimes forgetting lunch is less about weak memory and more about a mind carrying too much. And that leads to a surprising truth about why your brain allows ordinary moments to vanish. The biggest surprise is that forgetting lunch may show your brain is filtering information well. Memory was never designed to preserve every ordinary detail that passes through your daily life. Your brain constantly chooses what feels useful enough to deserve valuable mental space later. Novelty and emotion naturally receive priority because they signal that something important changed. Routine lunches rarely create that signal because your brain already knows what usually happens. Think of attention as a spotlight moving across everything you experience throughout the day. Only moments inside that spotlight have a strong chance of becoming detailed memories later. Your ordinary lunch may disappear because it never became the main focus of your awareness. Yet an unusual meal can remain vivid for years because something made the experience stand out. Psychologists call this meaningful encoding because significance can strengthen memory formation. Your brain remembers connected experiences better than repetitive moments with little meaning. This means forgotten lunches do not automatically prove that your memory is becoming weaker. They may simply reveal how efficiently your brain filters familiar information from daily life. Once you understand this pattern, ordinary forgetfulness can suddenly feel far less mysterious. And this also reveals how you can help your brain remember everyday meals much more naturally. Remembering lunch becomes easier when you give your brain a clear reason to notice the moment. Looking at your food for a few seconds can help your attention register what you are eating. Eating without your phone can stop outside information from competing with the meal before you. Noticing the smell of your food creates another mental connection your brain can retrieve later. Paying attention to flavor and texture can make an ordinary lunch feel more distinct in memory. The more senses you involve, the more pathways your brain can create around one simple experience. Sharing lunch with someone can also add emotion and meaning that makes the moment stand out. Even saying what you are eating can create a simple verbal anchor for your memory to follow. Psychologists know that fewer distractions can give attention more space to encode new details. Small changes work because memory becomes stronger when the original experience receives focus. You do not need to force your brain to remember every meal by repeating details afterward. The better approach is giving your attention enough time to experience what is happening now. Reducing mental overload can also leave more working memory available for ordinary daily moments. As attention becomes more present, your lunches can naturally become much easier to remember. You stop fighting your memory and start working with the way your brain already stores your life. The next forgotten lunch does not automatically mean your memory is beginning to fail. Remember that attention shapes memories long before you ever attempt to recall them later. Your brain protects meaningful experiences while allowing familiar routines to quietly fade. A forgotten meal can simply reveal where your attention was living while your body was eating. Your mind may have been solving tomorrow while lunch quietly disappeared into the background. Understanding this pattern can replace unnecessary worry with a clearer view of your memory. You begin seeing small memory gaps as clues about attention instead of immediate signs of decline. Sometimes what you forget can reveal exactly what your brain considered important that day. Your forgotten lunch may teach you more about attention than remembering the meal ever could. Subscribe for more psychology behind the strange everyday behaviors that many men experience.